Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
It is 11:04 on The Lock Shop. Thank you very much for being here. Dusty and Huss with you today. Huss, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
I'm starting to feel a little under the weather, Dusty.
Oh, no. You got a little something on your chin, too. There we go.
Yeah.
Wait, where are you? This is a post-Grey Cup under the weather thing or what? Like,
I've been running pretty hard for a few weeks, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't think it has anything to do with me seeing you from 12 feet or momentarily before.
we were distanced.
Yeah, we were distanced, just like the old days. Remember that? The old Grey Cup hangover, if you will. Not like the booze hangover, but the hangover from an incredible week. And then obviously the Bombers losing. But man, Tuesday night, actually, and to be honest with you, I'm sitting here. I can't feel too sorry for myself considering what you've been dealing for the last 3 weeks. So I'll maybe mix an OJ in between Diet Pepsis, take a couple vitamin C pills, and hopefully I'll be good to go. I will say this, though. I was on a high. The magic of the Lock Shop. It had been a long time since we had been together. We do one show. The EST parlay hits. The WST parlay hits. And if it wasn't for that damn shootout,
I know,
in Calgary Islanders, we would have nailed the partner parlay as well. So we hit the ground running, reunited and back together. Obviously, yesterday we didn't do a show. Tell me about that. How was the big news around Elkland?
Yeah. Well, we're going to get to that because I want your out-of-market opinion on it. Just to continue, I did hit the Kraken as a Lock Shop play of the day last night as a home dog against the Nashville Predators. That just seemed too easy. That one didn't make a lot of sense to me. It's the Preds. They've been horrible.
Dude, they're
thank you.
6-11-3.
Yeah. Oh, it's not good. It's not good.
The Blackhawks have one game in hand.
Yeah, and I think the Kraken, I can't remember if they were plus 120 or plus 140 dogs, but anyway. So we hit that one last night as well. So hopefully we'll run it back tonight. Here's the plan for the Lock Shop today. Pat Gregoire will join us. He's over in the Nasty chat right now saying Huss's body is shutting down because he's not used to his teams losing. It's just your body's just like, it's been too much of a high. I have to shut down now.
You know what? I had 1 week of a massive market correction, and unfortunately that week was the week that I did not want it to happen, mostly because the Bombers lost the Grey Cup. I can handle the Chiefs losing a game. I can handle the Jets losing 2 games. Certainly as it pertains to the Lock Shop, that was the one that we were the most invested in. But you know what? And just getting back in with you in the Lock Shop, WST parlay hits, and man, that game on Tuesday night, you can imagine around here, people were still sort of pinching themselves when the team goes 15-1. And then you lose 4-1 to Tampa. Okay, you get pumped by Florida.
Yeah.
We had a WST night, so we have all these people in the bar before the game, and I had a couple guys that came up and said, I shouldn't be, but I'm really worried. And I'm like, dude, take a chill pill. We're 15-3. They're the number 1 team in the standings right now in the NHL. Like, this is going to happen. But we did sort of need, like, the city, the fan base here in Winnipeg needed that win against Florida on Tuesday, and it was an unbelievable game. I mean, I still think Florida, top to bottom, when you think about the Stanley Cup playoffs, is the best team in the league. Like, they're incredibly skilled.
They're deep.
They've got high-end talent. They are deep. And the thing that they have that most other teams don't have is they have a level of nasty in their game, Dusty, that is not just for a certain incident in the playoffs. It's 82 games a year. And the Jets needed to raise their level of play in a big way, and they did it. So it's weird having 2 days in a row with no games after. I think like before heading into the Grey Cup, I think the Jets played.
Yeah, they don't play tonight either. I kind of assumed they would. I was looking at the sched, and they don't.
Yeah,
so
we got back-to-backs tomorrow. Yeah. Pittsburgh and Nashville. It's 6-game road trip, another long one for the Jets, and then they go Minnesota, LA, Vegas. Can't remember who the last game on the trip is, but some big boy teams. But we're going to get to see two of the most disappointing teams in the league right off the bat in the Pittsburgh Penguins and then those Nashville Predators.
Nice way to start a trip. The Oilers on Tuesday, that game pretty much went as scripted. I kind of assumed they were going to put McDavid and Draisaitl together after being shut out the night before. They did. You throw those guys together against a middling team in the National Hockey League, they're going to get theirs. Tonight will be a much different test. You had Minnesota. Minnesota's 12-3-3. We'll get into that. We'll get to the NHL slate.
Yeah.
A couple of things. First of all, Tuesday, Lock Shop Poker Series event number 4.
Yes.
That'll be happening. I've been out since the last one, which is crazy to think, but be ready to go. But plus, by the time I get back on the morning show on Monday, it'll be 32 days between morning shows, which is unbelievable. Like it hasn't even felt like that long, but as I was going to go back this morning, but so the doc said to not go back until I finish the sleep meds.
Yeah.
And I was just going to skip the last 2 days and go back to work. And then Tammy did the math on it. She's like, well, you shouldn't be done yet. Like you should still have a couple days left. I was like, I do have a couple days left. She goes, well, then what are you doing? I was like, well, I want to go back to work. She's like, finish your meds. So it's just like, fine. So anyway, I'm going to be back on Monday. That's the plan. But we'll see what ends up happening. Tuesday night should be a lot of fun. Lock Shop Poker Series, event number 4. How'd you do in the third one, Huss?
Not as well as the first two. Okay. That was the first. I guess the first time I was right on the bubble. I think I was the last guy out. I cashed in the second one, and then it was a slow roll. I mean, I just never really had anything to go in on, and then I got rivered in a torturous way when I actually did put all my cards in. I think I was like an ace king versus 3-4, and the guy went in just because there was a bounty on my head. I had a relatively low stack. The flop comes up, and I get a king. So I have a pair. It comes up 4-4. And I lose to 3-of-a-kind 4s.
No way.
It was just my day. That being said, I will be back on Tuesday. I hope all of you join us. I think everyone that was in it before had a great time. But if you missed it, 8 p.m. in Edmonton, 9 p.m. in Winnipeg. You go to Coolbet, you hit the poker app, download that app. It's great. It's awesome platform to play on. And then, just hit tournaments. There's a little magnifying glass. Just search in Lock Shop, nail it in, reserve your spot, and we will see you on Tuesday night for the 4th installment of the Lock Shop Poker Series.
No Oilers, no Jets. Your focus can be right here on the Lock Shop Poker Series. I'll try to stream that night, at least maybe until I'm eliminated. We'll see. Last time was heartbreak for me too. It's just like poker, man, a vicious game. Like drives me nuts. And last time I was like, I'm going to be more aggressive and I have to rebuy. And then the more aggressive play actually worked out okay. And I was like in a decent spot. I didn't have to rebuy at all. And then slowly slipped away, but what are you going to do? Huss, yesterday, big news here in Edmonton, obviously. We did not have Lock Shop. We did not have Oil Stream yesterday. The guys did a great job down at Commonwealth covering the hiring of Ed Hervey. They've already requested to chat with both Jordan Maximic and Rick Campbell of the BC Lions. Huss, the reaction here in the market. Obviously, people are excited to see Ed Hervey back, delivered a Grey Cup. Now it was 9 years ago, but still has ties to the old ways, if you want to call it that. What's the view of it outside the market? What do you think?
Well, listen, Hervey's a respected guy in the game. He's got great ties to Edmonton. I mean, when I look at this, knowing this organization has so much work to do in a couple ways. Put together a legitimate product on the field that can make the playoffs and compete for championships, and also instill some confidence going forward and get some of the fans that have been lost back on. And I think Hervey's a good guy. Like, it's going to come down to whether this team can win some football games and put some pride back in that logo and in the organization. But I mean, I think Ed Hervey's done a pretty good job in the past of doing that. It sounds like he's very motivated to help a guy that can come in and be that difference. And obviously now with what's happened with Rick Campbell getting fired in BC, And the word is that he's going in. I mean, I'll be honest, our focus here in Winnipeg is what's happening to the Bombers staff. And you listen, despite the fact that they came up short in a big game, I mean, this organization and management group has been so successful. No kidding. Everyone's going to be looking at Winnipeg to see who might be there. The thought is, and the word is, that Buck Pierce is very much high on the BC Lions. He's close with Rick Maiden, who's apparently going to be taken over there. So if Buck Pierce goes, that leaves a massive hole at offensive coordinator for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And then from the Hamilton side of things, it sounds like Ted Gavaya and Danny McManus are in the mix to potentially be running the Ticats. So you could see for the first time throughout this sort of amazing era of Blue Bomber football, a big exodus of individuals that have played a big role. But tell you what, if they get Hervey, are you expecting Campbell to be the next head coach?
Well, it was interesting because yesterday Farhan tweeted that they had asked permission to chat with Maksimic, but not Campbell. Now this morning I see it's there for Rick as well. I wonder if they chatted with Maksimic about his thoughts of possibly coming with Rick as the OC and what their relationship was like. Because if Buck rolls into BC, I mean, I'm assuming, Huss, would he not be calling the shots offensively too? It just would kind of make sense. Maybe a head coach / OC role for Buck, at least to get started out there. I mean, that would make the most sense.
Listen, if he's taking over the head coach as an offensive guy, I'm pretty sure he's going to want to have his fingerprints all over the offense and calling the plays. So
I think for this team right now, Rick Campbell would probably be a better head choice than a guy who hasn't done it, even if there's a ton of potential there with Maksimic. If you could somehow land both Rick and Jordan Maksimic, they both have ties to Edmonton. They've both been here in the past. I think it'd be a hell of an offseason. And, we were talking about it yesterday, and I don't know your thoughts on Rick Campbell, but like I said on our coverage yesterday, I don't view him as one of the top 1 or 2 coaches in the Canadian Football League, but I think he's a good Canadian Football League coach. Like the BC Lions were a train wreck before he got there, back-to-back 12-win seasons, lost to the Bombers in a couple of West finals. I mean, I thought he did a really good job turning that around. And then when he took over Ottawa as an expansion team, they get to 3 Grey Cups. He wins one of them. I think he's put together a pretty good resume as a head coach so far. So I don't think he's O'Shea at that level, but I think he's a pretty damn good Canadian Football League head coach.
Yeah, and listen, he's got incredible ties to the city of Edmonton. We all know what his old man did as the at the helm of the Eskimos. So
yeah.
I think those things matter. But again, it's great to have all those ancillary benefits. It's going to be about putting a winner on the football field. And Rick Campbell has done that. And he's been, he was a big part of a turnaround in BC. They had a really good team. This was a really disappointing year compared to what their expectations were and what I think everyone thought they were capable of. But he'll go in with, in a lot of ways, a pretty blank slate. I will say this Canadian Football League offseason is going to get going. I mean, it basically already is, and it's going to be really, really interesting. Bombers did sign Cash Sergio today. He's back. So what? They've got their kicker. Got about another 60 free agents to figure out moving forward. So, and hey, one other thing, and we'll talk about this on WST today, but some really sad news. And I know Hoops fans
I saw this,
in Edmonton will remember, but Chad Posthumous, who was the first ever Winnipeg Sea Bear, Winnipeg guy that, played pro all over the world, was a CEBL player in the very first year of the league. I believe won a championship in Saskatchewan. I think played in Edmonton, and it was sort of the face of the franchise when Winnipeg began into the league. Had a brain aneurysm a couple weeks ago. He'd been in hospital. It was announced that he passed away today. So I know there's probably some Hoops fans in Edmonton that remember Big Chad was just just a gem of a guy. Put a smile on everyone's face wherever he was. Huge part of this organization that became so successful here in Winnipeg. So I'm certainly thinking about everyone, friends, family, and really the entire basketball community here, but across Canada with all the people that he touched.
Tough news, as Huss said. More on Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up here at noon Edmonton time, 1 o'clock Winnipeg time. Pat Gregoire is going to pop by around 11:30. We'll dive into the Thursday nighter in the National Football League. But let's get to the NHL schedule tonight. Maybe put together a little parlay. If you have any picks that you like, you can text them in. 780-218-9999. Or, of course, you can hit us up over in the nasty chat, which is hopping today. Hammer the thumbs up for us if you are watching. Yeah, Huss, go ahead.
Hey, can I just quickly ask you, this is kind of a hockey topic that I wanted to hit you with.
Okay.
Before we get into tonight's games. Like the next 2 weeks is going to be fun because we're going to be firing out rosters of Canada. Listen, the Oilers have had a very mid start. Hyman has been super slow. And from the sounds of it, Bouchard has been very underwhelming. Are those guys on Team Canada 2 weeks from today? Either or both?
Man, I might say neither. I might say it comes up empty. And I'm not sure Skinner should be one of the three goalies either. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I looked at some projected rosters that did have Bouchard on the blue line. But, I mean, unless you need him to, like, Cale Makar will do everything that you need Evan Bouchard to do.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what else Bouchard can bring to the table for you when there are better defensemen to be second pair and third pair guys. So, Hyman, super slow start. Maybe there's a McDavid connection that still gets him on the team.
Well, that's the only way you get
If
Connor's like, hey, listen, Zach's the guy.
He's my winger, and that's it. Yeah.
But, I mean, you don't think Sam Reinhart could go in and do, like, there's just so many great players.
There's a lot of talented guys, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to make a big stink out of it if McDavid's the only Oiler on the team. I mean, as of right now, he's the only one that deserves to be. Simple as that. So we'll see. Yeah, I kind of been out of the mix on that for a while. But, yeah, you're right. December 4th is when it all goes down. Yeah.
Less than 2 weeks, we're going to find out. And, like, Scheifele, who I would have thought at the start of the year was probably on the outside looking in, I think has played himself in. I mean, that hat trick he scored against Florida was a big statement game. You look at his playoff history where he's like a goal every 2 games, much higher rate than he's done in the regular season. The way the Jets have played, the way he's played, his attention to detail, a 200-foot game that's been better. Like, by the way, I will say this, and I mean, he is a very motivated guy. If you're playing DraftKings or looking for point props, I would hit Scheifele every one of these games on the 6-game road trip coming up.
All right.
We expect him to be on, to be possessed, basically trying to make sure that he's on that team because he won't be a lock until the names are announced. I mean, he'll have to get there right at the end, but I think he's done enough so far. Josh Morrissey should be on the team. Do you guys? Is there many other guys like on the other teams, like Finland or Sweden or the States on
from Edmonton? No, nobody. Oh, actually, but Ekholm possibly on Sweden.
Yeah, Ekholm.
I could see Ekholm being on Sweden, but outside of that, no, unless I'm missing somebody. Ekholm, Sweden. That's about it. So. Actually, somebody said it might not be a bad thing if McDavid's the only guy on there. The other guys can use a little bit of rest.
Oh, so, hey, yeah. There is something to be said for that, especially after going all the way to Game 7 of the Cup final last year.
Yeah.
Like, I think actually, I mean, I'm thinking more about Hyman.
Yeah, Draisaitl. I'm just saying, like, Draisaitl's not going to have a place to play, so he can get some rest. And it'll be good.
I mean, unless he's going to change his passport, he's not playing in the tournament. So,
so get some much-needed rest,
He's good. Maybe we could get a Canadian passport for Connor Hellebuck. Can we acquire him? And
that's the thing. Like, there's such a disadvantage between the pipes, buddy. Like, significantly compared to all other 3 teams. So we'll see what happens.
Like, remember when we used to be picking between Patrick Waugh, Marty Brodeur,
Luongo,
Ed Belfour's the third goalie.
Yeah, Cujo couldn't get in the mix. It was times have changed. Times have changed. Okay, let's get to tonight here quickly. Let's decent. I mean, it's a Thursday night, lots of games. Vasilevsky unconfirmed for the Lightning. Merzlikins will start for the Blue Jackets. Logan Thompson for the Washington Capitals. Justus Anunen unconfirmed for the Avalanche at this point. Ullmark will start for the Sens. Samsonov expected for the Golden Knights. Markstrom expected for the Devils. Spencer Martin for the Hurricanes. That's a back-to-back for Carolina after they won last night. Sorokin will start for the Islanders. Alex Lyon for the Red Wings. Korpisalo for the Bruins. Vamelka for Utah Hockey Club. Binnington for the Blues, Askarov for the Sharks. Mrazek is likely for the Hawks. Bobrovsky is unconfirmed for the Panthers. Stuart Skinner will start for the Oilers. Philip Gustafson is unconfirmed for Minnesota. Dustin Wolf will start for the Flames, as unconfirmed right now. Shesterkin and the Rangers rolling into town there tonight. Who do you like, Huss? What do you like? I got a little EST parlay I can dish out too, but what do you like tonight? What jumps off the page?
Well, really interesting game coming up between Vegas and Ottawa. And my instinct off the bat was to take Vegas, coming off a 3-0 shutout to the Leafs earlier this week. Now, they've lost a couple in a row. You know, the Sens actually were doing okay, and now they've hit a real skid. They lost 5-4 at home to the Flyers. They got shut out on the road to the Hurricanes. And then they got it handed to them by the Golden Knights by the Oilers 5-2. Vegas is such a good, deep, well-rounded team that when you come up short the way they did against Toronto, I kind of like them to get the win against Ottawa. 133 on Vegas is the number that I do like. The Panthers, I think, are going to be in a pissed off mood after losing to the Jets on Tuesday night. They're in Chicago. Obviously, minus 250 is not a number you really want to deal with, but the puck line for the Panthers is actually plus money. I didn't know whether that would be the case. So I certainly have time for the Panthers minus 1.5. Chicago's in a bad spot. And I like the Rangers as well. I mean, I think the Rangers, we had them against Vancouver a couple nights ago. To me, they're just in another weight class than the Calgary Flames are right now, as hard as the Flames are playing night.
I was going to say, is Dustin Wolf going to ruin another parlay for us, though?
Yeah. In a shutout, we'll see. So right off the bat, if we're looking for a plus money one, I don't mind Vegas at plus 133. I like that number. Probably the best game on the slate is the Hurricanes at the Devils tonight. That's basically a pick 'em.
Yeah, it's kind of a stay away for me, I think. I don't know what to do there.
It's really hard to get a lean on. And then what do you think about this Islanders-Detroit game?
Yeah, man, I don't know. Islanders minus 137 road favorites. So you could get Detroit plus 117 at home. The other thing that I was going to bring up is, what about the Bruins at minus 134, coaching change-wise?
Oh, and they've got Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah.
New coach bump?
New coach bump. I mean, elevated coach bump, however you want to view it. I mean, you could look at that at minus 134. My favorite play of the night was going to be the Panthers, and you love them on puck line. I was looking at them just on the regulation win at minus 149. If we threw that into the parlay, it would be plus 542.
I'm good either way. Good either way if we want to go with the regulation.
So that puts us at plus 542. Rangers, Golden Knights, Panthers, and Reg.
Do we like the Rangers better than the Bruins?
You know what? I was a little hesitant in that Flames Islanders game just because Dustin Wolf has played so damn good over his last 5 or 6. I think I might like the Bruins a little bit more than the Rangers, buddy.
We've got Calgary. Holy smokes. Now that I think about it, Calgary, they give up 1 goal in regulation, win 2-1 in a shootout. 2-0 shutout over the Predators the game before. Lost 3-1 to the Canucks, beat the Kings 3-1. I mean, their defense in this last little bit, to your point about Dustin Wolf. Yeah, you know what? Let's give Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Dustin Wolf has stopped 84 of his last 86 shots he's faced. He's been in fuego. So you want to roll Bruins instead? Yeah, still got a good number.
He cost us the parlay last week. I do like the Rangers in that game. I think, and first of all, it's a better number with the Bruins as well.
Yeah, actually gets it to plus 580.
And I think Utah, if I recall correctly, I was just going through this earlier this morning. Yeah, I mean, they have 2 wins in their last 7 games. They're kind of turning back into the Coyotes again. So let's give new Bruins.
Let's do that,
coach. If you compare, it's not Joe Flacco, it's not Joe Sakic, it's Joe Sacco.
Joe Sacco.
Yeah.
Golden Knights plus 133. Panthers in reg minus 149. Bruins money line minus 134. Jake, if you were watching, let's lock that bad boy in. One more quick one on hockey. I threw the boys an EST parlay. They were working on it. Don't feel great about the Oilers as far as a victory goes tonight. Very interested to see how good Minnesota actually looks. But McDavid and Draisaitl are going to be together again. So the EST parlay will avoid a money line play, but it'll be McDavid over 1.5 points, Draisaitl goal, and Bouchard assist. So that'll be available a little bit later on today if it's not already. Let me just take a quick peek. They usually move pretty quick. Actually, it is already up. So here we go. Draisaitl goal, McDavid 2+ points, Bouchard with at least 1 assist, plus 475. And you can find that at the exclusives page over at coolbet.com. All right, have we waited long enough to get to the Steelers and the Browns? Yeah. Let's bring in Pat Gregoire from Coolbet. P. Greggy joins us today. Patty, how you doing, man?
Doing good, fellas. It's good to get us 3 back here. I'm dying for the 3-man week tomorrow. Dusty, I'm glad to hear you're doing better. I also am kind of hoping that maybe I get the sickness that you can get so I can drop a few LBs.
I got to keep them off. That's the thing. I got to keep them off now. I got to start eating healthier and I got to start working out. But we'll see. We'll see.
But no, in all seriousness, fellas, it's great to be back. And, it's
your mustache is sick, Patty. It's November 21st. I've experienced the whole November thing. Your mustache looks terrific. I'm very jealous.
I appreciate that. It is November 21st. So we are getting into the thick of things when it comes to the NFL.
Yes.
We are in the nitty gritty. And if you want to talk about this Steelers team, I think they are, maybe with the exception of Huss. I was on them to make the playoffs, but I did not anticipate this start. They need this game desperately, but Jake laid it out really nicely in that recap video a couple weeks ago. Yesterday, the numbers of this division and how the underdog covers, it's insane. I just don't know if the Browns are the team to do it. I think I'm going to roll with the Browns here tonight. I really do. It's hard to buck those trends, man. This division, it's just tight game. The fact that it's within a field goal, I could see the Steelers winning this one with a walk-off field goal. I really can.
Yeah, 100%.
We haven't seen a Steelers letdown game yet either, right?
I mean, from an entertainment perspective, a lot of them have been letdown games, but you're right. We haven't seen a game where we're just oh yeah, look at the Steelers. They really sucked the big one. I'm having a really hard, 3.5. I think I'll be on Cleveland plus 3.5, but don't love it. There's some player props that I like, but Huss, where are you at on this 3.5 tonight?
Listen, this is such a sketchy number based on the AFC North. I mean, Patty just sort of laid it out. It seems like there's always a team that has a much better record. Like I said, first off, I think we were doing the Coolbet lines yesterday. And I'm like, we have an 8-2 team going against a 2-8 team.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a 3.5 point line. I mean, make that make sense. I'll say this. This is a tough spot for the Steelers. Not that they don't get up for the Browns. All these divisional games are absolute wars. But, man, they're coming off of, a gutsy monster win over the Ravens last week and then needing to turn it around right away for a Thursday nighter against a team that has absolutely nothing to play for other than pride. And the dog pound will be full tonight. You know that they'll be out for blood. And the fact that it'll be as good as any win of the season if they can stick one to the Steelers. Now, do I think they're good enough to beat Pittsburgh? Not really. But the more you think about this game and realize that the AFC North, they're just backyard street fights. And I mean, Jameis Winston is also capable of hitting big plays every now and then. Now, they can go either way. They can go 6 for the good or 6 the other way. And again, that can change things. But Cleveland's defense is, well, better than their offense, I guess, which isn't saying much, although they did lose to the Saints last week. And I mean, I don't.
But this is interesting. Like I'm looking at Cleveland's record this season. They've lost 8 games. All of them have been by 4 points or more. So they haven't covered a 3 at all. Yeah. But their last win was over Baltimore. Same thing as Pittsburgh. Their last win was over Baltimore. So I mean, it's the division thing. I'm with you guys.
So it's just like getting that number out there that Jake was talking about yesterday. Underdogs in the AFC North Division are 48-31 against the spread. That's 61% since 2018. The only thing that is scary about that is the fact that Pittsburgh's 8-2, Baltimore's 7-4. Like, I think if Pittsburgh picks up a win here, they I don't want to say they've got that division wrapped up, but it's pretty close. Like, they've almost got it wrapped up to begin with, as it is. But like, this would really put a damper into the hopes for the Ravens to claw back and get a stranglehold on the division, especially considering they've already lost to this Steelers team. It's a gross number. I think it's one where you plug your nose and you probably feel gross if the Steelers do blow them out. But just with all the trends with what we've seen with this division, I think that the fact that it's 3.5, you've got to go with it. But Dusty, I do agree with you, and maybe it's one of those where you stay away, you just don't do it, and you go into a bunch of props, or you plug your nose and you take the 3.5. Because I think if you go on the Steelers side and the Steelers win by a field goal and you lose your bet by half a point, you'll be kicking yourself in the pants. But I do agree with you. There's a lot of props out there, I think, that are to be had tonight.
Yeah, go ahead, Huss.
I was just going to say, I mean, I don't have a great feeling for this line, and I think I might just put the mortgage on the over 3.5 field goals tonight.
What's that number at right now?
Plus 120.
Come on.
Plus 120.
How is it plus 120?
I mean, we've seen some shorter numbers this year on that prop. I mean, we've seen plus 105 for games. But here's the other thing, and this has me kind of rethinking my lean towards the Browns. Pat just mentioned when they lose by a lot. And the fact that Winston is in the game, like, I think, like, I was kind of making that joke about the pick 6 or whatever, but I mean, if they are down, Jameis doesn't care if they lose by 3 or by 30. I mean, he'll still be slinging it. It could easily go the other way. But then I think about, like that was kind of based on, okay, well, maybe Pittsburgh lets up a little bit after that big win. Mike Tomlin's not going to let them do that. I'm just looking at this. Pittsburgh is 8-2 against the spread this year. He's 7-3 in the last 10 against Cleveland. And the Browns are 1-4 at home this season. They're deep. They're playing for the division. They've got so much on the line for this game that they have earned. And here's the other thing about Pittsburgh. If you look at their schedule now, and I can understand, some being skeptical about their record. And to be honest, I'm not sure that they're an 8-2 team. But I mean, their first 3 games of the season, they won that game in Atlanta right off the bat. And then they beat the Broncos and Chargers. And both of those teams were kind of works in progress. New quarterback for Denver, new coach. They lost to the Colts, and they lost to the Cowboys. The Cowboys, of all teams. And then they're on this 5-game winning streak. Huge win against the Ravens, granted. Before that, they beat the Raiders, they beat the Jets, they beat the Giants, they beat the Commanders by 1.
And a tight one, yeah.
Now, after this game for Pittsburgh, they go to Cincinnati. They've got the Browns at home. Then they go Eagles, at Ravens, home to the Chiefs, home to the Bengals. Like, this goes back to our conversation about how important it was for Pittsburgh to get these wins early because of how nasty that schedule is later on. So, I mean, I do think Pittsburgh wins this game. And if they win this game, I mean, are they going to win by a field goal or is it going to be a little bit more? Like, it's not like this is a big number. I think I might stay away from the number overall.
I'm staying away from it, the 3.5.
To be honest,
I'm not
and
doing
get in because there are a few props that I do like for the game, but none more than the over 3.5 field goals. That is the auto bet of the season tonight. With
the way that we're talking about the 3.5, why would we be on that when we can get the plus 120 on the field goals? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just to add to the field goal stat, where is it here? I wrote this down. Russell Wilson in the red zone is completing his passes at a 29% clip. 29% completion inside the red zone, which only goes to help our case for the field goals tonight.
Well, that checks out because Boswell leads the league in field goals made with 29 this year. Yeah. The Steelers are tied for Steelers are tied for attempts per game. They average 3 a game, and the Browns, their kicking game, I mean, not much of their game has been strong this year, to be quite frank, but although they are near the bottom when it comes to field goals per game, the Steelers actually average 2 field goals against a game. They're very much that bend don't break style of defense. So I think we're getting plus money here. Again, it could be a monsoon. It could be a tornado, and I'm still going to bet the over 3.5 field goals. I'm going to do it. But this division, these two teams, this situation leads me to believe that we're getting a great number at plus 120. And, yeah, you guys have convinced me to not bet on the Browns, which, you know, clarity here is probably like, yeah, why the hell would you bet on the Browns? It's because that trend is sticking to my brain, but I'm going to stay away because there are some other bets.
Well, if they cover tonight, we're all going to be texting each other being like, classic divisional game. You know what I mean? Like that's what it'll be. But the field goal thing, I mean, plus 120 at over 3.5. That's gotta be the best bet of the game. I mean, and then, so if that's the case, it's one of those ridiculously low 37s. Are you on the under here, or are you staying away from the total as well?
I'm probably staying away from the total, just because we have seen in the past Jameis Winston be able to go over with a ridiculous throw. We also have seen Jameis Winston throw a ridiculous pick 6. The Steelers have that voodoo on that defense. They're good for a block field goal a game in these big spots or a pick 6. So I think we're going to get some defensive scoring and special teams on the board. Maybe that's a bet that we should be looking into. So I'm probably going to stay away from the total. Huss, you kind of had a smirk on your face. Are you going over because this is so low?
Well, if I had to, I think I would go over, and it's not because I think that the offenses are going to light it up, but I think the Pittsburgh defense, to your point, is good for one.
There, maybe,
like whether it's TJ Watt on a strip sack and they run it in, whether it's Jameis throwing a pick 6, like this is the sort of game that I think that could get away from a team like Cleveland, or at least their offense at some point, even if Russ and the Steelers just run the football and take it easy. But honestly, I think that Pittsburgh is going to kind of try to dial it up and actually score some points. I mean, they beat Baltimore by kicking 6 field goals. If they're going to be competitive, they're going to need to score a little bit more than that. Hey, I meant to do this on Tuesday's show, but I've been reminded again. And Patty, this is a shout out to you guys and the team at Coolbet. I've often told the story that before we even began working together, I was playing at Coolbet because we consistently got better odds for the golf numbers that I like to bet. I rarely am spending any other time on other books, but I was with one other than Gabriel Morency before the Grey Cup, and we're sitting there talking about prop bets for the Grey Cup. And he's like, okay, well, who do you like, or who are the guys? And I said, well, I'm in on Nick Dembski. And I guess he had 365 of them. He's like, oh, Dembski, okay. He's at Dembski's minus 150. And
for a touchdown?
Minus 150 for a touchdown? Cool bet. Plus 115. That was the difference in the number. Kenny Lawler, same thing. Kenny Lawler was minus 185 or minus 190. Coolbet had a minus 118. I just looked, and I was looking at an article that was quoting, I don't know, like ESPN Bet or something like that. And they had Pickens at plus 150. And I'm like, well, Pickens is my guy. I'm playing him in fantasy. I think they definitely want to keep him happy. So he'll get some balls tonight.
Yeah.
It's plus 188. So again, to people that I always tell people to shop around, look at the different numbers, see what's going on. We are consistently getting way better numbers on these props than at some of the other places. So it's just a reminder to people that, if you are looking around, you're listening to our stuff and then you're checking out the book. If you haven't played a Coolbet, please look at what you were getting there and then look at what the numbers are. And I will be surprised if 8 or 9 times out of 10, you'll have a more advantageous number over at playing a home game with the fellas at Coolbet. And my point of all of this is I like George Pickens at plus 188 a lot better than betting him at plus 150 somewhere else.
Well, that brings us to the player props, I guess.
That's music to my ears, Huss, hearing that laid out. And yeah, you are right. And that's what you got to do. Of course, we'd rather you play at Coolbet because, like you said, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the better number here for a lot of things, including touchdown scores. But if you want to take a look, take a spin, take a look, do your shopping, but you're probably going to come back to the polar bear because we're going to have the better odds there. You mentioned Pickens, though, Huss. I like him for a touchdown. I also like him for his over reception yards. This kind of is terrifying to me. This doesn't make sense. This number simply does not make sense. It's 58.5. And since Russell Wilson has taken over, he has 22 catches on 33 targets for 365 yards. That's an average of 91.2 yards per game. He has hit this number easy since Russell has taken over. I think 71 is the lowest over that stretch. And even throughout the entire season, he's gone over this total in 7 of the 10 games this year. Cleveland, also, a lot of people always give them credit. Oh, they've got a good defense. Well, they can stop the run and they can get pressure on the quarterback. They are not good in the secondary at all. They give up the 7th most reception yards per game. So no doubt this is why I like Pickens at this number, and I love him for the touchdown number.
Something seems fishy about the 58.5, man. I don't know why.
Like maybe I'm picking the cheese there. But why is it so low?
I don't know.
Why is it so low?
And the thing is like 40 of that could come on one play where Wilson just heaves it up, moonball, and Pickens goes and gets it. I saw the 58.5 as well. And I was looking at it because his receptions is at 4.5 and the yards is at 58.5. I don't mind either of them, but I like the 58.5 way more. Like I don't understand that number. I feel like we're getting suckered somehow, but I don't understand how. So I'm totally with you guys on everything when it comes to Pickens. I'm going to look at Tillman on the other side. The numbers for this guy, his receptions right now, 3.5 at plus money, I think. And let me just double check this. Yeah, 3.5. Now it's minus 120. Still not bad if we're going to throw it into a parlay. In the last 4 games, he has been targeted 40 times and has 24 catches. And we're getting him at minus 120 over 3.5 in this football game. So totally 100% on Tillman over 3.5 catches at minus 120. To have 40 targets in his last 4 games and to have the number set at 3.5, man, I love it. Absolutely love it. So I'll definitely throw Tillman in the mix.
Nick Chubb's over-under is 53.5. He has not hit that yet this year. He had 50 yards on 11 carries, 39 on 15, 52 on 16, and 22 on 11 against the Bengals. I would suggest that Pittsburgh's defense is probably better than any of the ones that they played so far this year.
Fourth best
in the league
opponent.
Okay.
4th best against the rush. So only Minnesota, Baltimore, and KC have a better rush defense, and those 3 there are pretty impressive units.
And listen, if I'm Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, I want Jameis Winston to be throwing the football.
Yeah, load the box. Just take it away from
So anyways, if we're looking for an under, I don't mind the under 50 or 53.5 with Nick Chubb.
I don't hate that either. I don't love betting unders on these primetime games, but that's an under that you certainly have talked me into for sure.
So do we want to throw a Pickens TD into this, or do we just want to go Pickens over 58.5, Tillman over 3.5, and the Chubb under?
Let's see.
I like that a lot.
See, we put this in receiving. The Tillman is we're going over 44.5 yards or catches.
For Tillman, over 3.5 catches.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
receptions.
Receptions. Okay. 120. And then rushing yards. Nick Chubb under 53.5. And 5 plus 571 before a boost. We should get that over 6-1.
No doubt. I really like that. And then I won't have a Patty's primetime parlay. I'm leaving the faith up to, I don't know if you saw it on Monday night, did the randomizer that Jake has been throwing out there.
Yeah,
it was a 14-1 winner on Monday. So I ran it back. I already recorded it. It'll be coming out on our social soon. I will just give you guys
What's the number. Just give us the number.
33-1.
Oh, jeez. What?
33-1. So that will be coming on our socials soon. 33-1 is the number. You guys can guess.
What was the Monday one?
It was like,
I was traveling, so I didn't. This is all.
It was hopefully Jake's in the chat.
I watched the video, but I don't remember what I like.
Well, one was a first touchdown score, and we got that.
Oh wow!
Wasn't that Disley? Or
no, it was who was it?
Oh, sorry, that was the Texans. Mixon?
Dobbins?
Yeah, it was Mixon.
Oh, Mixon. Yeah, Mixon. Yeah.
On that play, Nico Collins ran in that touchdown to start, and there was a flag on the play. So it gets called back. Then Mixon scores for the first touchdown. So that was huge. I'm trying to remember the other ones. This is terrible that I can't remember. It's because your next bet is the most important bet, right? Once it's in the rearview mirror, you don't remember.
On to Thursday Night Football.
Who cares?
If Jake has it in the chat, though, if he maybe remembers it.
Mixon first TD, Cooper Rush interception, and CJ Stroud over on his pass yards plus 14.
Yes, that's what it was. Nice work. The Cooper Rush really didn't give too much juice. I think that was like minus 200 or something, similar to Winston's interception here tonight. But it was electrifying. It was awesome. So I won on Monday. I got to run it back here on Thursday. So no Patty's primetime parlay. It'll be the randomizer parlay that you'll be able to see on our socials.
Patty, I might not be here tomorrow. I'm waiting to hear about a doctor's appointment, but I do want your thoughts on, obviously a Grey Cup weekend. You're talking to a bunch of CFL people. Curtis Rourke in Indiana this week going up against Ohio State in that 5-2 game. I mean, I haven't looked at any of the numbers or anything, but what are the chances Indiana can actually get this thing done?
You know what? It's really tough because Indiana basically has played virtually no one. Their schedule has been really, really weak. But I'll be honest, I don't know how legit Ohio State is this year. It's a 13.5 point spread.
Is that what it is, hey?
12.5.
Yeah.
12.5. It's
What's
moved.
It, 14 now?
12.5.
Okay, so it's moved the other way. I don't love Ohio State's quarterback, Will Howard. They've got a ton of weapons. The only thing that scares me is the toughest test, and Michigan's not even a good team this year. They stink. They really, really struggled to get anything going offensively against that. The issue is, Ohio State isn't that smash mouth team that you see in a team like Michigan. So, you know what? I'll probably be betting Indiana to keep it close. But for them to get the win is going to be really tough.
I'm really intrigued by that story. It's crazy.
It is. It's awesome. And Rourke is awesome. I was watching him when he was in Ohio, when I saw that he transferred. I had Indiana, shout out me. I had Indiana over the wins, and it cashed immediately.
Easy,
5.5.
Is that what it was at? Holy smokes.
Yeah, but I mean, this coach that they brought in from JMU,
he just got the big ticket, right? Didn't he just sign 8 more years or something?
Big time. And that's something that scares me too. like he gets the big ticket and then it's like the biggest game of his coaching career. Now it's on the line. That also could be a motivating factor, but he gets the big contract. You're going up against Ohio State, who has been a world beater, but like, again, I don't know how good this Ohio State team really is. It is such a jump in competition. 12. I really wish it was still 13. Because that would make me feel a lot better about it. I'm still going to bet Indiana for them to keep it close. They're a good team. It's just with this new alignment of the conferences, like everyone doesn't play, like there's no East and West in the Big Ten anymore. So the schedules are completely different. And it's just the top 2 teams that make now the conference championship.
Okay.
So Ohio State's schedule has been so much harder than what we've seen with Indiana. Indiana really hasn't had that test. I don't discredit them. I'm not one of these people who are like, they haven't played in one. You play and you beat who you beat. That's all you have in front of you is your schedule. This is the big test. If they can keep it close, even if not even win, but if they can keep it close, they deserve to be in the playoff. No doubt in my mind. But if they get embarrassed and blown out, then you wonder like how good of a team is this team really? But I've got faith in Rourke. I've got faith in this group that they're going to be able to at least keep it within the number.
Haas, what's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk, buddy?
Well, we'll have the latest on the Jets. Murat Atesh is going to jump on us. We're going to hit some of the CFL offseason talk and how that might be affecting the Bombers moving into the offseason. We'll remember Chad Posthumus, who I mentioned later on today. And we'll dive into a little bit more hockey talk, 4 Nations Cup rosters. And I've come around to the Steelers tonight. I still think I'm going to be staying away from the spread, but I will tell you guys, it just dawned upon me as I look into the open bets. Tonight's the night that we cash the Steelers over wins for the season.
Over 8.5.
In week 11 tonight, if they can get it done. But I love our partner parlay. Let's get it done. Along with a nice chunk on the over 3.5 field goals at plus 120. Let's get it, fellas.
Field goals all night long. A good show today, boys. We got 2 guys in the goalie coming up right away here at noon on Edmonton Sports Talk. That's going to do it for the Lock Shop, presented to you by Coolbet. Next Tuesday night, Lock Shop Poker Series, event number 4. So be ready for that. You can go and register right now, or you can register right before. You can register right after we start. So make plans to join us on Tuesday night. For Huss and Pete Greggy, I'm Dusty. Boys, thanks for the time today. We'll talk soon.
Best bets tomorrow, fellas.
Go field goals.